All right, what's going on, everybody? I hope this video finds you well. We are going to go into a really cool way that you can start your off season and building in some changes and getting the golf club. I would say one of our first goals is getting that golf club more on plane. We're going to go into some pretty cool ways of how we can do that and how we can reference that with a Tour Striker Smart Ball. So, first things first, I think for most players, it's a lot easier to keep this golf club closer to a singular plane and not having as much crazy stuff going on across the line, shallow behind, and trying to manufacture all that. So I think having a tool that gives me a reference and gives me feedback is really important. I generally see players who keep the golf club more on plane ball strikers than players that you might see that get this golf club moving way inside, getting across the line, losing the ball, and having their arms work in every which direction from where their body is. So I think having a tool like this to be able to reference arm structure and how that works into the plane that we would be on, pretty important right there. So what we're going to go into is some ways that we can use the Tour Striker Smart Ball to work on our swing plane. We're going to have some checkpoints, some really cool feedback stations, and an awesome drill. So I think one of the things when going into planing out the club is it can be very complex. We have shoulder movements, which is one of the most mobile joints in our body. We have arm movements, adduction, abduction. We have forearm movements, internal. We have pronation, supination, I should say. And we have wrist conditions, extension, flexion, radial, ulnar. I think this is a hard piece to combine and players to actually manage and put together. So I'm going to try and create this in the most simplistic manner for you to comprehend. So if we take a smart ball like this, immediately right off the bat, I get external rotation of the trail shoulder. That's an advantage because I think that is one of our structures that helps us plane the golf club out. External would be here, internal would be here, and you can see my relationship would be I'm dropping the ball right there. Okay, so that would be one advantage of this. The second advantage that I like to use this for is how the shoulders and the arms travel around the spine. So when I start right here at center from face on, you can see how this ball is lined up with the center of my spine. So what we would see out of this golf is a circular motion, and we need to actually work this golf club and the arms around our spine. So you can see how this ball would be moving on the right side or the trail side of my body, and this is moving to the trail side of my spine on the way through. The opposite would be happening. It would be moving to the lead side of my spine. Okay, so that's another advantage of this. What I really like to use it for as well is once we understand external, we understand how the ball moves around the spine right here. So in a backswing, we can see that's moved around my spine. So here would be my spine. We can see that ball is moving over to this side of it. Then we have the planing mechanisms of the golf club. Here's my reference that I would use this for. Once I get to my takeaway and I work this up, that club right there is splitting the ball and it is starting to move through the center of my humerus. I could set up an iPad, I could use a mirror, all of these things I could use as a reference point, but I really like using the ball and visualizing this and saying, once I get to my takeaway, hands in, that golf club is working through the center of that ball by the time we're at P3. Okay, on the way down, that's still working through the center of that ball. What is it that allows us to get that there? That would be, if we watch this from face on, the extension of my trail wrist is one of the things that helps me put this on plane. If I lose the extension of this trail wrist, you can see how much that's going to change the plane of the club, as well as internal rotation could, and if we didn't actually get the arms to travel around us enough. So this is one of the cool ways of actually using this smart ball here is a visual for building out a structure to help us hit shots more like that. I wish I hit every golf ball like that. This, I think, is a really good way that you can work on structure, how the arms move, the direction they work in regards to their plane, and then we're going to get into the drill next. All right, so here's our drill that we're going to use for the smart ball. So like we explained earlier on, I think it is very important that we get this to work around the spine versus just up the spine. Okay, so that would be number one. Now, the drill that I really like to use this for is I see a lot of players out there who struggle with casting. So if we looked at this from a down the line view, if I'm at a 3/4 motion right here, my goal is to not allow this club head to catch up to where the ball is. I have this club, because of the extension in my wrist, I have this club head behind the ball. So by the time I'm down here, I move from P4 to P5, P5 and a half. You can see how that club head is behind the ball right there. It's probably not going to start to line up or pass until we get to about P6 right here. So what I like to do is I like to do a form of a pump drill from a feel. I'll work this up, pump it down once, pump it down twice, and my goal with this is that I am keeping that club head behind the ball. That's ensuring that I keep my wrist conditions in. It is allowing me to plane this golf club out better. So I'd go up here, pump this once, pump this twice, reset, and let it go. And I really like the way that that feels for me, because it gives me a relationship and it gives me a goal and it gives me a visual of where I'm trying to keep the golf club in space while I'm still working on my arm structure, my shoulder structure, how the wrists are working. And I think one of the big keys here for everybody, please take this with you. I think this sport is much better played off when we understand that our feels are creating what we want them to. See it, video yourself, use aids like this that give you feedback and give you references for areas that we need to get better in the golf swing. So there's a drill, give that a go. I think that'll definitely help. On the common flaws. Common flaws that we see in planing out a motion. Here's going to be my top 3 right here. Number 1 that I see is the lawnmower. Okay, and so the lawnmower is going to be internally rotating the shoulder as we pull the arms in. This is my most common flaw. You can see this from down the line. The direction that my shoulder is facing now as well from face on. This would be internal rotation with elbow bend. This piece right in here, this is a very hard piece to recover from, because I would have to throw the club away from me, externally rotate, and replane it. A lot of times we see players and their only source of contact now becomes out, moving to in, moving to down. And we see pull slices quite often right there, okay? That would be common flaw number 1. Number 2 common flaw that I would see is not having any hinge or any extension in the trail wrist. Seeing this wrist right here from face on being flat, not quite moving into flexion, but seeing this trail wrist flat. You can see right here how much that would open up the face to the leading edge of the shaft. So when I'm set up right here, if I go into flattening of the right wrist, you can see how that would twist the face open along this axis of the shaft. Now from here, I could hit push slices. I could use swing direction to come over the top. These would all be things that we could use, that we could relate to the smart ball and planing out that club in regards to the shoulders, the arms, and the wrist conditions right there. I would say now, common flaw number 3 is going to be getting the golf club too far across the line. What this would be now, if you look at my lead shoulder, this is external rotation. This is going to be supination and wrist extension. There's what creates this across the line move that we either have to manually shallow or B, I don't know what else we would do from right there, guys. So I think these are the things that make it harder to keep the golf club on plane. So figure out which one you are. We can use a drill, we can use a tool like the smart ball to help us plane that golf club out so that we're more in this position here to hit functional shots. Or we can choose to try and manufacture everything that we were doing right there before. So I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments down below. I appreciate you watching. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video here. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell right there, and that's going to notify you every time that I release a new YouTube video. Also, if you haven't, check out that last video that I did. It's right here, pinned to the screen. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave those below, and I will make sure I get back to each and every one of you. So, thank you again. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.